No, that's wrong. Dixie Diamonds 320. Mets 12:40 a.m. Dixie 9:40 a.m. Lala Truganini arrived at the Borden's car seconds behind her old mixed-breed yellow dog Nala, who had begun her journey a score of seconds prior to the constable. Though old and hearing impaired, upon hearing the Land Cruiser's tires crunching up the driveway, Nala had scrambled out from beneath the front porch and trotted to greet the Toyota as best as her old and arthritic joints allowed. Lizzie's journey from the passenger side to the driver's side was completed just ahead of Lala's and Nala's arrival. Nala, with assistance via her head start, managed to arrive at the driver's side door concurrent to Lala's arrival, the constable and her dog arriving directly after Lizzie and Eddie had arranged themselves so closely together that they stood with Eddie's right side touching Lizzie's left as they watched the constable and her dog reach them. Lala, smiling widely, greeted the Bordens by declaring, "Careful, she licks," as an excited Nala pranced between Lizzie and Eddie, silently declaring welcome to their two guests. "Good morning," Lala said from their truck front bumper as she reached the Bordens. "Thanks for making the trip over. How are you two this morning?" she asked, brow furrowed and right hand extended to Lizzie. Lizzie smiled and returned as the two shook hands and said, "We're fine, thank you, and thanks for entertaining us after your night shift. We greatly appreciate it." "And who is this little charmer?" Lizzie asked as she took a knee and held her right hand out for Nala to sniff. "This is Nala," Lala replied, "part pit bull, part terrier, and sweet as can be. I appreciate you reaching out to me. I'm pretty sure I have an inkling of the position you two are in," she added, tilting her head downward so she looked at the Bordens from the top of her eyes as she offered her hand to Eddie. "How's it going with the voices in your head?" Clasping her hand in his, Eddie replied, "Informative, actually. We're extremely concerned that Brency is planning to escape from Australia and head somewhere that doesn't have extradition with either us or the U.S. "And this prognostication was provided by the voice in your head?" Lala asked, left eye narrowed to a mere slit as she continued grasping Eddie's hand. "Call it what you will," Ed said with a shrug and a smile as they released one another's hand, "but I wouldn't take it lightly." "Lightly?" Lala asked. "Like lighter than air? More like helium than nitrogen?" Eddie's brow furrowed momentarily before his face sprouted a huge grin and he asked, "You referencing the Hawleys?" "What?" Lala responded, shaking her head and laughing. "I'm sorry, Lala," Lizzie said. "Eddie suffers from a horrible case of runneth off at the mouthis. He's referencing the air that I breathe. You know, all I need is the air that I breathe and to love you." "Well," Ed said, "our air is nearly 80% nitrogen, eh, what?" Lala intoned with a smile. "I wonder how the percentage of nitrogen in the air corresponds with the percentage of hot air in you, Eddie." "I'm convinced that Eddie suffers from pressured speech," Lizzie said with a smile. "Or perhaps that should be pressured singing. He does seem compelled to share what songs pop into his head and when he hears something that fires one of his synapses." "Speaking of pressure," Lala said with a smile, "are you receiving telepathic messages from Brency's helium-filled drone as we speak?" "Excuse me?" Ed said, face a mask of confusion. What are we talking about?" "The tightrope the two of you have been walking," Lala replied. "You know, the one where you desperately want to keep Brency from harming others without revealing that not only is his helium-filled drone, I guess I'll say alive and drifting, but it's also been communicating with you telepathically."